toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah, we ruthless. All the ghouls in the club, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah, we ruthless. All the ghouls in the club, let's get ghoulish.
Hello! Welcome to a new episode of the GHOULIsh Show. I am an undead host, Max Booth. Yes, clap, why not? Just clap at anything. It's that type of show. If I say something, you clap, and I go, ha ha! And I feel good about myself. Yes! Teeth. Does anyone know how many teeth are in the human body?
4.
I don't know, so I'm going to take that as the correct teeth science. Teeth are crazy. Right now I'm doing this, I'm talking into a microphone. I have a tooth issue. A tooth, some would call it a wise tooth. It's growing against my cheek as I speak right now. And it's quite painful. I don't like it. If you want, look at my phone, you can see it. It's pretty gross. I don't like it one bit. I hate it, it's painful, but I'm doing this show because I'm dedicated to everything ghoulish. Clap, that's right. But teeth will terrify. People have dreams about teeth falling out of their mouths. They are obsessed with teeth. And I've thought about this quite a bit. Why are teeth so fascinating? Why are they so terrifying? And I think it's because teeth, well, the only bit of the skeleton that isn't hiding behind flesh, right? Teeth is the skeleton reminding you that one day you will not have flesh and you will rot away. But for right now, it's just going to grin at you as this constant reminder that you will die one day. And that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that one day all of us will die. I don't think anyone should live that long because living is exhausting, and I assume dying is like going to sleep. And going to sleep is great. So yeah, teeth. That's all I have to say about that. But, hey, I have some great news for anyone who has seen one of these shows before. We have a new co-host. We have a little sidekick I am adding to the show. You might remember him from episode 1. His name is Death, and he is my new sidekick. And he's going to show you his trademark dance. That's the Death dance. Thank you. Death, could you please do that again, but right on that step? No, okay. Death is a little shy. It wasn't my choice to add Death as a sidekick. But I was told by the fat cats at Radio Coffee that I needed to spice things up a bit. Because if you recall in the past, we had some sponsors, but I made fun of them too much, and they stopped giving us money. So now we have Death as a sidekick. What is he going to do? What is he going to add to the show? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Besides good looks. Maybe he might be funny. We shall see. Maybe he might give us all the great, pleasant gift of death. Who knows? But until then, by golly, do we have a show tonight. Before we get with the fill stuff for Fill Middle of the Night, I want to let you know after the show is done, directly behind you in the back, we have books for sale. Lots of books. Books by us. Books by those performing. A brand new book that I published, Bound in Flesh. An anthology of trans body horror just came out. Quite excited about that. Came out from GHOULIsh Books, my small press, based in San Antonio. And that's available to buy along with many other awesome books tonight that we will tell you about. But until then, let's get one reading out of the way, right? Let's do it with Ryan C. Bradley.
Rude. Hey, how y'all doing? I didn't know Max was having a tooth thing when I wrote this, but we're just gonna go with it. This is called the dueling dentist incident. Just a little note, in Paul Craddock's book, Spare Parts, An Unexpected History of Transplant, he says that for a time, the only way to get dental care was by volunteering to receive treatment on stage with traveling dentists who put together entire stage shows around the tooth removals, which is 100% a real thing. So here are some of their ads. Hear ye, hear ye. On May 15th, the Honorable Michael Mulvaney will stage the act of dentistry at the old fairgrounds 1 hour after sunset. He'll be accompanied by the Dancing Wilson sisters. Arrive early for a selection screening if you would like a tooth pulled. Oh, good gentlefolk, the evening of May 15th, Stefan S. Sabre invites you to an evening of sword tooth removals. With his patented saber strikes, he'll remove teeth from all who apply. Find him opposite the old fairgrounds in the new pavilion. Asterisk, Master Saber's saber strikes are not legally patented. Hear ye, hear ye. This Saturday, May 22nd, the eminent Michael Mulvaney will perform never-before-seen feats of dentistry. The world-famous, scantily clad Wilson sisters will be accompanied by the violin master Frederick van Beethoven. Don't miss out on the fun at the old pavilion 1 hour after sunset. Parties interested in having teeth removed, please arrive early. Preference given to those of weak constitution. No fake patents here. Oh, good gentlefolk, the evening of May 22nd, Stefan S. Sabre requests your attendance for another evening of swashbuckling tooth removals. See a man strike a tooth with a saber from a distance of 3 feet. Follow the crowds to Sabre, opposite the old fairgrounds, no malady turned away. Hear ye, hear ye. On Saturday, May 29th, the magnificent Michael Mulvaney returns the dazzle of dentistry. No patient of his has ever needed a surgeon after a missed saber blow. The all-nude Wilson sisters will cavort while the violin virtuoso Frederick van Beethoven, the famous composer's great-grandnephew, fiddles. Don't miss out on the fun of the old pavilion 1 hour after sunset. If you would like a teeth removed and a doctor has referred to you as a screamer or a bleeder, please arrive early. Oh, good gentlefolk, on the evening of May 29th, submit to the splendiferous Stefan S. Sabre as he slashes out the cessed teeth of all comers from a distance of 6 feet. Follow the sounds of snoring past the old pavilion. May 30th. The constabulary were sent to the old pavilion last night where violence erupted between Stefan S. Sabre, real name Stephen Paul, and his professional rival Michael Mulvaney. As the two performed dueling dentistry shows, Mulvaney sustained minor injuries while breaking Sabre's sword over his knee. Paul lost 3 teeth. Mulvaney was heard yelling, "Dentist, yank thy tooth."
Now, you definitely wrote that because of my tooth stuff, right?
No, I wrote that like a month or 2 ago.
Do you think somehow by you writing this, you caused me tooth issues?
I think that was the goal.
Are you some type of tooth witch?
I'm trying. I'm in tooth witch school still.
Okay. Now, is this based off of true life?
Yeah, there was actually a traveling dentist who would take people's tooth out with a sword. That was kind of his gig, his act.
Okay, now, how did this come about? Did he just have someone come up on stage as a volunteer, hoping someone would want their tooth removed? Or did he plan this in advance?
So you would, so dentists used to travel, and it used to be like a form of entertainment more than a form of healthcare. So yeah, he would travel with the sword, and they would all compete with these like weird gimmicks to attract audiences to their tooth removals.
That's pretty awesome. Can you give us some examples of some of these gimmicks that they would do?
I mean, nude dancers, fiddles, lutes, sword strikes.
Not much about teeth, huh?
No, because I mean, if you've seen one tooth removal, I feel like you've seen most tooth removals.
Have you seen one?
I mean, I've had one. I've not actually sat down and observed.
You didn't get a videotape to watch at home?
No, I mean, they put me to sleep, so I feel like it's probably just like me snoring.
Okay. That's fine. You have a book out. This will sell. Do you want to tell the folks about it?
Yes, my book, Saints Blood, is my debut novella. It's the story of a college professor who gets kidnapped in rural Oklahoma, and he's having his blood drawn repeatedly. He doesn't know why, and he's trying to figure it out, and he's trying to escape. And there's the book.
Now, before I let you go, I do have a new sidekick with me, and I think by sidekick law, he must ask one question to every guest before the guests can leave. So, Death, what would you like to ask Ryan?
Good?
Am I good? Is the piece like what's? Can
He's already asked the question. Please answer.
Can I have a little?
Huh? No.
All right. Bad.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. All right. That's been one up, one down. We have a few left. Just a reminder, after the show, we have books for sale behind you. We have drinks you can buy, leave some tips. I recommend The Extremely Bad Man because it's really good and delicious. I don't recommend socializing with extremely bad men. Like, for example, by chance, if you go to Bowling Green, Kentucky, you go into a Barnes & Noble bookshop. You see a man dressed like a wizard named Chance. Go away! Run away fast! That is an example of an extremely bad man who is not good. Coming up next, Michael Louis Dixon talking about trucks.
Big truck. I want a big truck. I mean, I want a big fucking truck. I want a truck so big that I'll need a goddamn parachute to get out of it. When I start it up, the engine will rumble the earth and set off car alarms well outside of a 10-mile radius. I don't want it to have an exhaust pipe. I want it to have smokestacks that belch. No, vomit columns of oily black pollution that violates the sky in shuddering, gushing, achromatic ejaculations. Birds will rain down in my wake, slapping into the pavement in viscous, tarry globs, unable to make a simple twitch, yet alone breathe. Environmentalists will weep at my passing and spend days with Dawn dishwashing detergent, cleaning off the feathers of the encased fowl, but only end up saving a pitiful few. Air traffic control will have to reroute planes while I interrupt their flight patterns when I drive by. Flight restrictions and no-fly zones will be implemented for the safety and welfare of the citizenry. Satellites will pick up my big truck, and whole segments of newscasts spent forecasting my path and predicting levels of destruction in categories yet to be determined. When I drive along, ordinary traffic laws couldn't even begin to apply. They'll have to make new laws telling other people just how they should behave when I drive by. Laws they better obey or else. Anyone found guilty of crimes committed against my big truck will face the full impact of the law. Verdicts carrying minimum sentences that, when passed and read aloud by the judge, are certain to make mothers weep, tear at their clothing, and rend their hair. When I park my big truck, I want it to sink down deep into people's front lawns, to gouge tread marks so penetrating that people will need flashlights to even try and see the bottom, but they can't. Many will lose their dogs, their cats, and even their kids down in the depths of those canyons. Whole search parties will vanish after they venture within the depths of these abysses, Down there, cell phone service dies and radio waves bounce infinitely around the chasm walls. From out of those trenches, new life forms will spring, dark and hungry and desperate to eat their fill before the sun rises and they are forced to return to their subterranean habitations. When I flip on the headlights, the beams of light will vaporize the dwellers from below, and the terrorized people will cheer me for bringing them their salvation. But when they turn thankful eyes to gaze upon their Savior, it will be as if they stared into the unfolding birth of a thermonuclear detonation, and the orbs of their eyes will implode while ejecting gouts of steam from within their withering sockets. Those who avert their faces will feel the heat as the beams pass by, and in the days to come their skin will redden and peel in thin, desiccated sheets. My big truck will be my home, my castle, and I will defend it with everything I've got. The gun rack in its rear window will be fully populated. My God-given Second Amendment rights will put everyone else's to shame. The arsenal, pregnant with death, will contain everything from small-scale arms to weapons of mass destruction. Not a single member of any militia could help but grab at their crotch when they see what I'm packing. Seize hold of their cocks and jack another round into their camouflage khakis while fantasizing what they themselves would do if in possession of what I've already got. Jesus will be my co-pilot and my best friend. I won't have to ask, what would Jesus do? I will be the one to tell him what is needed, and it'll get done. He will heal me when I'm sick and feed me on loaves and fishes. While he could simply change my bottled water into wine, only the finest Kentucky bourbon will do. He will sanctify the cab of my big truck and the arsenal in its rear window and everything else from the tip of its volcanic smokestacks down to the rubber treads of its earth-punishing tires. When I blow the horn on my big truck, Judgment Day will start early. My partner, my buddy, my old pal, Jesus will take his own name in vain, giggles, covers his mouth and says, "Holy shit, Dad's gonna be pissed." Angels will descend from heaven on a choir of hallelujahs and a single spiration and be drawn toward my big truck's headlights like humongous beatific moths. Many will burst on impact, tumble over the hood in a spray of celestial ichor and an explosion of seraphic plumage. The monolithic windshield wiper blades will sweep up automatically and streak those angels' numinous fluids in an arc of slow, soul-clenching rainbows. Those that escape this end will pass overhead only to get caught in the big truck's exhaust and join the birds that litter our path. Imagine the looks on the environmentalist's face when they realize what they're cleaning. Because my big truck is beyond the control of the federal government, the President of the United States and all the members of Congress, as well as the Senate, will ask me to join the Union, and I will. But just so that I can secede when they try and levy taxes against me and my big truck. When the United Nations asks me to join, I will turn them down and do it publicly so the world can witness their shaming. There will be no peace accord signed, no mutual non-aggression pacts, and no trade agreements. What there will be is me and Jesus driving in my big truck and going wherever the hell I want to go. I want to get a big, big truck.
All right. So I take it you enjoy trucks.
From afar.
Nice. Now I think when I met you, it was a long time ago, and you were also reading the same truck story on the same stage. Is that right?
Yes, that was at the Cockroach Conservatory, the inaugural print.
When was that?
1975.
Ah, yes. Back then, in 1975, when teeth grew like trees. What do you have against trucks?
They are good for work.
Yeah, but what about like those pickup trucks like people have, even though they don't use it to like put equipment in. They just use it to like block parking spaces and like crowd you when you're trying to drive on the highway. Then they get super mad at you when you're going too slow. What's wrong with those tricks?
Well, I think that if you have a prescription because you're lacking within a certain part of your masculinity and you need some kind of supplement that'll increase the girth of your ego.
This is a dangerous story to read in Texas. Are you afraid for your life?
Not anymore. I mean, a big truck killed my car, and I think it's about time for it to payback.
All right. You have a book. You're holding it right now. Tell the folks about it.
It's sick.
Excellent. Go on.
It's basically a perverted fungal body horror story. And that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, any trucks in that book? Any sick trucks?
There's mention of trucks.
Yeah.
There's a moment. There's a brief moment.
Intimate moment?
It's kind of a passing thing.
A passionate thing.
Passionate passing in the parking lot.
Okay.
Perpetually passing.
Now, before I let you go, I do have a sidekick who has to ask you a question. Dax, what would you like to ask Michael Louis Dixon about his book Sick or anything else in life?
Bad?
Half the time.
All right, thank you, Michael Louis Dixon. Wow, we're almost halfway done. Can you believe it? Oh, we've been through this together, all of you. This massive crowd we have, this engaged crowd we have. It's great. We love you. Please clap. All right, I love it. I used to do this show at radio. At one point, it was called Something Indecent before we became the Ghoulish Show. And I think on the debut episode of Something Indecent, I did admit that audience applause makes me ejaculate in my pants. So every time you clap, think about that. Oh boy. Okay, next up we have John Baltisberger. He's coming up. He's a poet, but I don't think he's reading a poem. I think he's reading about Pokemon or something.
So yeah, I've read a lot of poetry here, but Andrew told me that if I did it again, I would not be allowed back at radio. So I'm not gonna do that. Some of you don't, as none of you know, I used to do game journalism. I'm gonna read an article I wrote about Pokemon. Not in poetic form, I promise. The existential horror of Pokemon. This morning, my wife tried to snuggle me. She asked me if I was mad. I said no, but that I was thinking about eating Pokemon. Her response? That tracks. But it doesn't, not really. Pokemon is a strange and fantastic world filled with bright colors, filled by friendship. But if you peel back even the first layer of the game setting, things begin to unravel in the worst way. Pokemon is a survival horror game as grisly and dark as they come. Let me explain. First, Pokemon are intelligent. This isn't some theory or some silly idea, it's a provable fact. Even the goldfish Pokemon, Magikarp, perhaps the dumbest of the Pokemon, can be caught and trained to fight using new commands. It doesn't even take much. As soon as you catch it, the thing understands English. As soon as you dredge it out of the water and hurt it enough, it can understand your commands, even if it has never seen a human before. 2. Pokemon are hyper intelligent. I need to stress this. Pokemon aren't just smart because they can understand English. You can take a potato Pokemon and then train it to use magic. You can cross-train your Pokemon to use skills that are completely unnatural, not only to it, but to the accepted physics of the world. This is like if you took an old dog and you taught it how to play basketball. And in case you're wondering, yes, Airbud is a Pokemon. 3. All Pokemon are aggressive and hate mankind. How do you catch a new Pokemon? You will wander around in their habitat until one you're looking for attacks you. In the real world, yeah, some animals will attack you out of hunger or territorialism, but in Pokemon, everything wants you dead. That goldfish wants you dead. That plant over there wants you dead. Those rocks want you dead. Every single Pokemon you encounter has one of two states. It has either been beaten into submission or it wants your blood. 4. Pokemon are evolving. This is more than a baked-in mechanic of the games. This is established reality of the game world. All Pokemon can evolve. Not all do. Maybe Pikachu becomes Raichu, or maybe the Electro Vermin will grow to become ancient and die in combat long before it evolves. Some Pokemon evolve because you love them enough, which means essentially they have Stockholm for the abuse you bury them in. Others evolve in battle, meaning that evolution is a trait that allows it to adapt so that it can be more, so it can be a more perfect killing machine. Everything is a Pokemon. And since all Pokemon want to kill you, and evolve to do so, thank God there aren't that many of them, right? Wrong! Plants, bugs, animals, rocks, gases, electricity, pollution, ghosts, shadows, stars, aliens, water, fire, everything around you is a malevolent Pokemon waiting patiently to murder you. Even some people are Pokemon, evolving into an uncanny valley just to get close enough to marry your mom and murder your family in the night. And if you think I'm joking, please Google Mr. Mime. The most unbelievable part of the Pokemon universe is that mankind was able to survive at all. Violence is the only language that Pokemon speak. How do we live in harmony with these monsters? We don't. We go out in the world and we force these things to fight one another. And if we want, we can then capture and dominate the Pokemon we nearly kill. Sure, they understand your English, and yes, they say their own name over and over again, but the only way to stop them from killing you is by killing them first, or nearly killing it, and then cramming it into a micro-torture chamber only to be forced to fight not only other kinds of Pokemon, but its own kind as well. The only thing to eat in Pokemon is hyper-intelligent, hate-filled Pokemon. We don't eat that many intelligent species. It's sort of a rule here. We don't eat dolphins, dogs, rats. We do eat octopi, which is kind of fucked up considering. But as humans, we sort of have this agreement with the animal kingdom that we're not going to eat animals that can be our friends. Fine. You can't live by that rule in Pokemon. Every animal is a Pokemon, all of them. And as we discussed earlier, they're all hyper-intelligent. And once you have hurt them enough, they will be your friend. Not only that, but almost every plant is also a Pokemon. That means there is nothing you can't eat that isn't both hyper-intelligent and capable of both love and unfettered malice. All in all, everything about the game, when you just glance under the curtain, is nightmare fuel. The fact that this is marketed as a kid's game is a travesty. Any sane person can see that this setting is rife with violence, cannibalism, and of course, bestiality.
Alright, I have many questions.
Go ahead.
Question 1, what is a Pokemon?
Pokemon is a hyper-intelligent killing machine.
Okay, am I a Pokemon?
Have you made sweet, sweet love to my mother?
I mean, since that one time?
I think you're Mr. Mime, bro.
Alright. Now, I have a question about that last thing you just said, specifically bestiality. I have a question I've asked many people over time, and no one seems to know the answer. Okay, so if you commit an act, maybe no one knows. What is bestiality? Can you explain that?
Well, if you look at the word, it's B-E-S-T-ality.
Yes.
Which means you have the best sex, right?
No. Explain it to the crowd in detail.
Can I get a whiteboard up here so I can draw pictures?
So it's when you have sex with an animal. So my question is, if you commit an act of this having sex with an animal misdeed, do you then get put on like a sex offenders list? What little thoughts on that?
So it depends on the state. Each state has its own, and it might actually involve principalities, but it depends on the state. You should go and Google your local area to see what the actual punishment for boning down on bone-type Pokemons is.
Okay. So what is it in Texas? Like, for example, should you have given everyone like a little caution before you read? Like, do you have to tell people?
No, everyone here is on the list now.
Oh, great. Well,
Sorry,
congrats,
everyone.
folks.
My bad.
Now, Pokemon. Cool. You have a book as well.
I do
tell,
have a book.
Tell folks about that.
This is my new book. It came out yesterday. You can tell it's new because it has the not for resale. That's a lie. I will sell this book to you so fast.
Do not buy it.
I will fight you.
It's against the law, like bestiality is against the law.
It's a black metal fantasy, and if you like nerdy shit like I do, there's some tabletop role playing game shit in the back too.
All right. Now, before you get up and leave, we have a question from my new sidekick, Death.
Okay.
Shoes?
Tomatoes.
All right, that's it. Now, before I have my last riddle come up, I want to try something a little different this time, because we have some free time with this episode. So, if anyone in the crowd tonight has something they want to read, some fucking random person, if you want to read something on stage, raise your hand right now, and you can come up and read anything you want.
Open mic.
Oh, this guy wants to read something. Okay, now, before you come up, you only have 6 minutes, okay? If you go beyond that, I will have my sidekick destroy you. You will cease to live. Alright? I don't know what's going to happen, folks. We shall see.
What's your name?
There's got to be 1,000 people in here right now. That's amazing. My name's Andrew Hilbert. I was going to read something, but now I'm going to read a tooth story. And basically, this guy, he has a real bad toothache, so he decides he's got to save some money and go to the San Antonio School of Dentistry. She had to drag me in, my old lady did. I could hardly walk, the pain was so bad. When she slumped me over the welcome desk of the school, the little lady with big rimmed glasses hardly looked up at me, even though my mouth was dripping little puddles of black blood all over the paperwork she had obviously so neatly sorted, collated, and paper-clipped. "Sir," she said, fingers typed rapidly with her eyes fixed to her screen. She was probably scrolling through Facebook. Couldn't even look a man in his dumb mouth. People these days, I swear. "Your appointment isn't until tomorrow. We're booked." My wife looked around the waiting room, a bunch of really old people and a lot of people who you could smell just by looking at them. "Is there any way you can see Clive here now? He won't stop bleeding. The blood isn't red like it usually is. It's all black like tar and gunky." Still, that little lady's fingers typed while she didn't even bother to look up at us. "We have appointments for a reason. Everybody's mouth is just as important as the next person's. Black blood might mean a severe infection." She said it with the detachment of a dead battery on a vibrator. I would have been appalled if it weren't for the bending pound of my mouth. I couldn't move my mouth anyways. I tried though. "Please," I said. The blood and spit flowed through my mouth, even speckled her glasses. "I need," but I couldn't finish. My jaw was the size of my face. It felt like hammers swinging without mercy against my teeth. I collapsed and hit my head again. Reopened the earlier table wound. "That may require stitches," the little lady said. Still as she typed, still as she didn't bother looking away from her screen, "You should consider the emergency room." "We'll wait here," my beautiful, wonderful wife said as she lifted me up from the armpits and dragged me across the oily carpet. "I can't lift you into a chair, honey," she said, but I was okay where I was. Spent a lot of time sleeping on floors in my life, and this sure was a floor. I was face up staring at the popcorn ceiling, seeing shapes move into one another. I'm going nuts. I gurgled out between spurts of pumping blood. "That's a lot of blood," my wife said. I was swirling. I was going to choke. I was going to die. "I'm going to die," I screamed. But nobody even looked at me. Nobody peeked beyond their magazines or their cell phones to hear me. Maybe I couldn't be heard. I got up to my knees even though my body felt like a waterbed, and I started to murmur whatever came to my mind. I grabbed people by their pants and coughed blood on them. I spit on them, crying and begging for them to listen to me. "We're all in pain, idiot. We're here at a dentistry school to get cheap work done in our mouths. Shut the fuck up." I looked up at the plaid pants I was squirting all over. He didn't even bother to look down at my face when he insulted me. I climbed up his pant leg and grabbed his face and screamed. Then I collapsed. It was a cold slap that awoke me. A man silhouetted by the bright medical light directly behind him was staring at me. He moved the light out of the way. He was missing an eye and had no eyebrows. You had an advanced infection. We removed an abscess. We removed 3 teeth. Do you smoke? I couldn't answer. Well, don't. The dentist turned to my wife. Does he smoke? She looked at me for an answer. My head was taped down. I couldn't turn to tell her to lie. We taped you down because you undulated too much. Undulated. I tried to question the verb, but as soon as I opened my mouth, the dentist propped a mirror in front of me. My mouth was sewn shut, lips pretty much gone. We had to put your lips inside your mouth because they oscillated so much that they vibrated at the same frequency of atrocity. Do you know what I'm saying? Say yes if you do. No? I was panicked. I could feel my hair get plastered to my head by the buckets of sweat. My body was pissing. Now he's pissing. The dentist threw his hands up. Get the students to clean this up. Students! Aye, aye, Captain. 2 guys in face masks had their hands in salute to their teacher. You gotta clean up the piss. I'm the teacher. Students get the shit work. Luckily, it's not shit. That happens too, though. Usually old people are babies. When you gotta pull a baby's tooth out, you're in trouble. Any of you getting into pediatrics? They didn't say anything to answer. They were still in salute mode. I looked at my darling, sweet wife. She was sobbing, looking at me in anger. I tried to get out of the straps that bound me to the hard steel table I was attached to. Oh, no you don't. You're not undulating out of this one, boyo. He whacked me across the face with some tooth pliers. Full with tooth still in his grips. Ma'am, we're going to give you this table. Take it home with you. You can prop it up against the wall if you want. If you want him to get the idea that he's standing. You can keep him lying flat, too. It's really your choice. We don't mind if we never get back seeing as he's pissed on it. We can just get a new one. The governor allows such expenses. He's a germaphobe. My students here, he motioned to his students, hardwood plank stances, empty eyes saluting. They're only trained to clean pee off the floor. Around a body, no way. They've already learned enough. Anyhow, what with that lip sewing? It's a rare procedure, but it helps with messy blood. You'd rather the blood keep in cycle with the body. He's going to swallow a lot of blood. You might notice some loss of color, some clamminess of the skin, some of such sort and so on, but don't worry too much. He'll be at peace within a day. I screamed. I could feel my mouth tear at the stitches. Stop with the oscillating. The dentist slapped me again. See, students? Aye, Captain. That's why we quadruple stitched. It takes a long time to do a good job, but it takes a longer time to do a bad job. Sure, it takes you no time, but then you keep seeing your patients come back and back again with all their complaints about pain. We're in the pain alleviation business, okay? That means death. And as quiet as possible. Do not, and I repeat, do not disturb the neighbors. The dentist took off his rubber gloves one by one. The first one he threw onto my face. He isn't complaining.
Slipping!
No!
Slipping.
No! Don't kill me!
Slipping.
No, shit!
Wow!
I'm
That
dead.
was great!
I'm dead. That's a true story, by the way.
So, just some random guy who decided to read tonight, who I also kind of published a book of. You have a book called Excrement Mountain.
Excrement Mountain.
What is this book about?
It's perfect for children. It's about a cosmic pile of shit that falls into the middle of Austin, and a film crew climbs to the top just to see why.
Yeah, it's out now through Ghoulish Books. You can buy it after the event. We have copies for sale. Andrew will sign it. I want to talk about what you just read.
Yes.
Now, I am in the process of trying to make an appointment with the same dentist school from the serial you just wrote, because I have a fucked up wisdom tooth eating into my cheek right now. This is based off a true story, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had a tooth extraction at the dentist school. It cost me $50, and they couldn't get it out. I had 2 dental students with pliers on my mouth going one way and the other, and their feet were lifting off the ground. The teacher had to come in and pull it out. And I thought, oh, cool, everything's fine. Came to work here, and then my face got really swollen, like I had a softball on my jaw. One of my coworkers said, dude, you look fucked up. So the next day I sped to San Antonio and got some antibiotics. And then they sewed my mouth shut.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Nice. Now, what is it like not having a tooth?
It sucks. Whenever I eat sunflower seeds, I'll always get a shell stuck in there.
That's pretty cool, man. Now, even though death, even though death just annihilated you,
Yeah, I'm dead right now.
he does have to ask you a question before he can leave.
Bidets?
Yes. Now let me tell you about bidets. You will really, really save money on toilet paper. And I don't know if you guys have seen the inflation costs on toilet paper. Quite high. We're still recovering from that whole pandemic. So get a bidet.
Never go back.
Never go back.
All right, sit down.
Thank you.
Well, this has been fun, huh? The Ghoulish Show. We do this every month unless it rains. But it did today, we did it anyway. So maybe we always do this now. The last Tuesday of every month, The Ghoulish Show. If you just came in, I am Max Booth. I run Ghoulish Books. It is a small publishing company in San Antonio. And beginning this Saturday, a small indie bookshop in Selma, Texas. We're opening a shop, a spooky shop. Grand opening is this Saturday on Independent Bookstore Day from 12 to 8. Come on down, buy a spooky book. But now, to end tonight's show, I think I'm going to read something I wrote that every audience, they love it. It's a crowd pleaser. It's about 3 eggs. Except, my tooth is killing me, so instead of myself reading this, I think to introduce my sidekick the correct way, he is going to read my 3 eggs story to you guys. Right now, get up. Give it up for Death!
Get him, Dad!
All right. 3 eggs.
Bob saw the tweet at 6:27 a.m. while sitting on the toilet. He had to be leaving within the next 20 minutes or he'd be late for his shift at the Halloween factory. It was a factory dedicated to manufacturing spooky props and decorations for the Halloween season. However, his job honestly isn't relevant to this story, but it's still a cool job, so I thought it would be fun to mention it. Plus, it makes him seem more developed as a character, and I am told it is easier for readers to connect with developed characters compared to undeveloped characters, so there you go. He had a job at the Halloween factory, but that's not important. What is important, however, is what happened as he was making his daily bowel movement before going to the Halloween factory. He was scrolling his phone, pretending that he wasn't emptying himself in the same room that he and his wife often brush their teeth in, when the tweet popped up in his feed. It was posted by someone he wasn't following, and nobody had even retweeted it either. In fact, there had been 0 interaction on it whatsoever. Yet, for some reason, Twitter thought it might be a tweet he would enjoy. The person who tweeted it had a chicken emoji for a username, which would make sense once he read the tweet. This is what it said. He said he was going to read it, he tricked me. Hubby likes shoving soft-boiled eggs up my vagina if I can hold 3. And then I squat down and lay the eggs like a hen, and hubby eats them coated with my juices.
Keep going.
What the heck, Bob said aloud, and immediately finished his BM. He closed his phone and proceeded to wipe. He did not think about the tweet again until he was driving, where he was sure he had misread it. In the Halloween factory parking lot, he got out his phone again and looked at the tweet. Hubby likes shoving soft-boiled eggs up my vagina. I can hold 3. And then I squat down and lay the eggs like a hen, and hubby eats them, coated with my juices. What? He had not misread it. "What the heck," he said, then got out and clocked into his shift. There was no time to consider what this tweet might have meant. He had plastic skeletons to put together. Tuesday, Bob and his wife, Babetta, were eating Hot Pockets and watching some true crime docuseries on Netflix. Bob's Hot Pocket was cold on the outside and steaming hot on the inside. Babetta's Hot Pocket was the opposite. Sometimes life is truly mystifying. "Hey," Bob found himself saying, I saw the strangest tweet yesterday. He didn't know why he was telling his wife about this. He hadn't even realized he'd been thinking about it until he started talking. Babetta asked him what the tweet said, and Bob recited the tweet verbatim without having to look at his phone. "Hubby likes shoving soft-boiled eggs up my vagina. I can hold 3, and then I squat down and lay the eggs like a hen, and hubby eats them, coated with my juices." Babetta made a face like she was going to vomit. "Why would you tell me that while we're eating Hot Pockets?" "I don't know," Bob said. "I'm sorry." Wednesday. Babetta was surprised to find Bob in the kitchen when she woke up. Usually he would have left for his job at the Halloween factory by now. "What's going on?" she asked. "Is everything okay?" "Oh yeah," Bob said. He was in the process of preparing a big breakfast. "Everything is fine. I called in and told my boss I'd be a little late, that I had a doctor's appointment I forgot about." "What appointment?" his wife asked. "Well, that was a lie. There is no appointment. I just thought we hadn't enjoyed a good breakfast together in a while. Doesn't that sound nice?" "Yeah, I suppose," Babetta said, and sat at the table, then noticed next to her cup of coffee a small container consisting of 3 soft-boiled eggs. Bob noticed his wife noticing the eggs, then let out a nervous laugh. "Hey, remember that tweet? Remember? Hubby likes shoving soft-boiled eggs up my vagina. I can hold 3. And then I squat down and lay the eggs like a hen, and hubby eats them coated with my juices." Babetta said, "You're disgusting, Bob." Bob said, Thursday. Bob did not go to the Halloween factory at all on Thursday. He didn't even call his boss with a fake excuse. He simply sat in the kitchen table and waited for Babetta to wake up. He had collected 3 new soft-boiled eggs from the fridge and had begun looking at them for so long his eyes had begun aching. Babetta came down to the kitchen and gasped at her husband. "Bob," she said, "what's going on? What are you doing?" "Why would she tweet that?" he asked. "Why would anyone do that?" "Do what?" He pushed the 3 soft-boiled eggs across the table. "Hubby likes shoving soft-boiled eggs up my vagina. I can hold 3. Then I squat down and lay the eggs like a hen, and hubby eats them coated with my juices." "Oh, Bob, are you serious? It's driving me crazy. Sometimes people just like to be gross," she said. Yeah. He looked up at her like a little puppy dog. "But what if I like to be gross?" She took a step back. "Do you?" And Bob shrugged. "I don't know. How would I know?" "I don't think this is healthy, Bob." "Can't we try?" Bob asked. "Please, just once." "Bob, are you fucking with me?" "I don't know what I'm doing," he said. "I'm not shoving 3 soft-boiled eggs up my vagina. Can't you just consider it?" She turned away from him and walked out of the kitchen. Bob remained at the table looking at the eggs for the rest of the day and night. He could not think about anything else. Friday. "Okay, goddammit," Babetta said. She was standing in the kitchen looking at her sleep-deprived, obsessed pervert of a husband. He was already late for Friday's shift. 3 shifts in a row. At this rate, the Halloween factory was going to terminate him. "If I do this, you have to promise that this is a one-time thing, and that afterward you'll go back to the Halloween factory and beg for your job back." Bob nodded like a zombie. "I promise." They laid down some dish towels on the floor. "This is going to be messy." That wasn't the only thing they could both agree on. "I don't think I can fit 3 of these things inside me, Bob," she said. And he kissed her on the lips and said, "Let's just take it one egg at a time." Saturday. Bob woke up that Saturday morning depressed. The previous day had been one of the best days of his entire life. Yet it wasn't. He had this itch, this desire that he couldn't quite squash. He had eaten the 3 eggs, and they had been heavenly. But somehow he needed something else, something more intense. It wasn't even about the eggs, he realized as he brushed his teeth. It was about the juices. The eggs were the lucky ones. They got to be inside his wife. They got to be drowned by the juices. They got to be consumed. That was what Bob wanted. Bob wanted to be one of those eggs. He wanted to be swallowed from head to toe into his wife's vagina. But that was crazy. Even he could recognize that. A man didn't crawl into his wife. A man wasn't a soft-boiled egg. These things simply did not happen. He was just delirious, high off the previous day's juices. Besides, Babetta would never allow him to climb inside her. She had drawn the line at the 3 eggs. An entire human would be out of the question, even if that human happened to be her husband. If he even brought up something as ridiculous as this idea, she would leave him without a second thought. She would call the cops. They'd drag him away to the delivery bin. Bob would not ask his wife if he could crawl inside her vagina, because only a crazy person would ask something like that, and Bob was not a crazy person. He was a husband who sometimes liked gross things. There was nothing wrong with that. Bob was content not being an egg. Most people were not eggs, and they lived life perfectly happy. Bob could be like one of them. He did not have to crawl inside of his wife. Everything would be okay. Sunday, Bob shook his wife awake at 5 a.m. and said, "Honey, I have to talk to you about something."
Give it up for Death! Woo! All right, we have a sidekick now. Death, how did you enjoy reading 3 eggs?
Terrible.
Now, critique it if you don't mind.
Gross. Unsanitary.
I feel like maybe I don't have the tweet repeated enough. What do you think?
Too much.
Do you think you could recite it now without reading it?
Absolutely not.
All right. Now, what's it like being deaf? That's pretty interesting.
I can hear.
I got that joke, even if no one else did, and that's okay, Death. That's okay.
Thank you.
Well, I think that's the show. Do you have anything else to say?
Please leave.
Hey Max, do you have a new book?
I do. I have a new book. It's called Abnormal Statistics. It's a collection of short stories, including a novella about teeth. It's about a boy who begins swallowing the teeth of dead people he finds. It's pretty cool. Yeah, clap. Oh, I'm ejaculating. If you know canon from the show, that makes me jizz. Now, that's it. That's the show. Hang out, buy some books. Everyone will sign them for you, and you will give us money, and you can go home and read them and go, ha. Well, maybe it's a sad book, and you go, what? I don't know. Every book has a different emotion. All right, bye.